Okay, welcome back. And I'm back in my podcast with a new guest. So I have Becky Harrison here with me, who is a interior designer and business owner. And today we're going to be talking about her journey to motherhood, and also a little bit of a nod to kind of how our home life effectively supports actually how we manage that transition as well, and how actually when we think about how we live, that actually that space can support us through those sorts of transitions as well. So I think that's going to be really interesting. But first of all, let's have a quick intro from you. So I want you just to tell me a little bit about you, your family, your business. Just give us a bit of a flavour of who Becky is.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Sorry.
So I have two children. They are Alfie and Charlie, and they are 10 and 11. I'm married to Mike. We've got a dog, a puppy. We've got ducks, guinea pigs.
You have ducks? Okay, I didn't know this about you. I love this already.
Animals. Yeah. And I currently work as an interior designer, but previously I spent 16 years working as a project manager. Yeah, so I worked in a variety of industries, but always as a contractor because I do not make a good employee.
Oh, tell me more. Why do you not make such a good employee? So what was it about being a contractor that suited you?
So I've always really liked being able to choose the projects that I work on.
Okay.
And working as a contractor really gives you that control.
Mm-hmm.
I also what I love most about projects is that they end. So you don't get drawn into any of the office politics.
Yeah.
And you can really make a difference with just one piece of work.
Yeah.
My favourite projects have always been build projects. So I've worked on hospitals, hospices.
Okay.
I worked for Avon and Somerset Police for a period of time. So I really have bunny hopped around a lot of different industries.
Okay, interesting. And so what has brought you to interior design now then?
Well, so initially I started studying interior design because after we got married, we had two miscarriages quite close together.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. The first was a missed miscarriage, which happens when you go for your scan and you find the fetus or baby hasn't developed properly.
Oh,
so that was really traumatic, actually.
Yeah,
I had no idea that could happen.
do you know what? I don't think I did either. So.
Yeah. So I went through quite a long period of having to really work through that.
Yeah.
And I felt like a failure as a mum before I'd even started. So it made that path to motherhood harder and more stressful because we were very lucky we did go on to have a family, but it made those subsequent pregnancies very stressful.
Yeah.
So actually I started studying interior design as a distraction.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I started the course and then got pregnant again about a month later.
Amazing.
Which was what I wanted to happen, but then obviously meant my studying slowed down.
Yeah. Fair enough. So let's talk about then how did you find the transition to motherhood once kind of going through, obviously all of that would have been really difficult.
Yeah.
Did you find that, that identity in you kind of changed a bit then? Because obviously you would have loved all the projects and all that kind of stuff. So stepping into motherhood potentially would have been quite different.
Yeah, I do feel we set women up for failure a little bit actually, because we teach them about being pregnant. We teach them about going through labour. We teach them about having a baby.
Yep.
But there's very little education around the change it has on you.
Yep.
And as a project manager, one of the things we like is to control situations.
Yep.
And becoming a parent is the biggest lesson in letting
go and not having any control.
Yeah. And actually, I think I really relished that challenge. I let go of everything I did not need to do. So when especially my first was very young, my non-negotiable was when my husband left for work, I had to be showered and dressed. That was like a win because I was then ready for the day.
Yeah.
And then whatever we did from there was, It didn't matter.
It just didn't matter. Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
you met that goal, that was the achievement of the day.
And I had a really lovely support group through my NCT group. And that kept me sane. I think a lot of them had dogs, so we went out for walks. We didn't have one then, but having that excuse to get out the house and just having that support and sharing our tales and making you realize that you weren't the only one. I think you often feel like your child's the only one doing it, and then there's so much power in knowing you're not alone.
Yeah, oh, massively. I mean, I again echo a similar experience, to be fair, because my NCT group was the absolute just the pillar of like strength in kind of all of that. So yeah, I do agree with you on that 100%. So what was that first motherhood transition like?
Yeah, it was hard. Because it's so different to anything you've ever experienced before, and it's so consuming. It's the only 24-hour a day job you have, isn't it? And that's a massive adjustment. One of the things I really struggled with at the start is my husband sort of expected me to know the answer to things.
Oh, right, okay.
And I just didn't. I remember one occasion very soon postpartum where I was in the bath trying to heal.
Yep.
And he brought this baby into me screaming, and he was like, "What do I do?" And I was like, "Well, leaving the room is the first thing you do, because I don't know. Like, this is my break." And I think having that time to myself was one of the biggest wins, I think, because it's so important.
To get the breather.
Before I had my first, actually, a male friend told me to let my husband do it his way, and it was such good advice, because just because someone does something differently doesn't mean it's wrong. And obviously consistency helps in parenting, but also you have to be open to other people's ideas and ways of doing things. So learning to let go of things being different really helped. And also sharing that load. So I breastfed, but we got Charlie onto a bottle quite early. So when he was probably 2 months old, I'd have every Friday night off, and my husband would sleep in our bedroom with him, and I'd go in the spare room, so I could have a whole night's sleep.
Oh, amazing.
And actually things like that really helped to keep me sane.
Keep you sane through it.
And it meant I learnt to really trust him.
Yeah.
So the first few times I did it, I just didn't sleep well. Like, I'd wake up and be like, is he dealing with it? And, I had to learn to really trust him and let people help me.
Yeah. It's interesting you've talked about that, because in some of my sort of maternity coaching conversations, we talk about maternal gatekeeping, which is essentially where you're trying to hold on to all of those things, and like you say, not letting that trust kind of happen, and not letting someone else do something slightly different to the way you would do it. I mean, there's a whole nother ball game when it comes to kind of your parents and other support happen, like all of that sort of stuff. There's a whole nother conversation there. But I think what I really liked, and you've told me a little bit about this already, is that you and your husband just found that balance and almost did a bit of that home contracting, almost to try and understand actually what do we need to support each other, and what is going to be those, like you've been calling them wins, haven't you? To help not get you through it, but it is a bit of a survival, at times, isn't it? So if I can name it that. One thing I also loved is that you had a slightly different experience as well, in that you're in terms of how you went back to work, you and your husband. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when Charlie was 6 months old, I found out I was pregnant with my second son. That was a bit of a shock. And at that stage, we were renting, and we really wanted to purchase our own home. But because I work as a contractor, to prove my financial worth, I suppose, I had to submit 3 years worth of accounts. And because I'd been off on my maternity leave with Charlie, they were not looking good for that year. So I actually went back to work when Charlie was 9 months old. So and I was 3 months pregnant with my second son, and I went back full time.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a challenge.
How
And
how was that?
it was hard because actually people didn't know. So it was a contract, um, but I didn't tell anyone initially because I obviously knew I would be leaving
Okay.
again.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, that was hard because I had quite bad morning sickness. So trying to hide morning sickness is not easy.
No, it's not.
Because also it's not just in the morning, is it? But it was a really interesting time for both me and my husband because we got to experience each other's world.
Yeah.
He got to experience what he worked part time
Mhm.
and looked after Charlie 3 days a week, and I worked 5 days a week. So it was just really different experience for us both to see how the other one had been.
Yeah. How the other half lives.
Yeah, yeah. And we both had different struggles with that.
Yeah.
I found it really hard not knowing what was going on. And literally sometimes weeks would go without changing a nappy or, because I wasn't there during the week.
Yeah.
And that was really hard. And that's where you have to really put your trust in other people. So we had support from my parents. Obviously, Mike was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that was just for 6 months. And then I was on maternity leave again.
And you mentioned that obviously for being a contractor,
Mhm.
you also didn't have the maternity leave like you would if you were in in an organization. So
Yeah.
how did you find that? Did you take a lot of time off? Was it a similar situation where you had the 9 months or?
So the second time around, I had 9 months off
Mhm.
and then went into a fixed term contract. So that's when you have employment, but only for a fixed period of time. So I did get sick pay and I did get those benefits that you
Yeah.
get when you're employed, but only for a 2 year period.
Yeah.
I initially went back 2 days a week and then increased that to 3 days after a year.
Okay. And how did you find that transition back to work?
I loved it.
You loved it.
Yeah, I've always been more than just my children. This might be a bit controversial, but they aren't the center of my world. They are very much part of it,
Yes.
but they don't drive every decision I make.
I think that's fair. And to be honest, I don't think it needs to be controversial. I think some women worry that that's controversial,
Yeah.
don't they? I probably would say I'm of a similar kind of mindset. That identity shift was really hard,
Mm.
because it was moving from someone who was very career orientated, very ambitious, to suddenly, like you say, they become the center of your world because you're
Yeah.
not working.
Yeah.
So you're almost craving that identity back
Yeah.
almost. So when you say you loved it, can you tell me a bit more about how you managed with those kind of with the I suppose the double hat
Yeah.
suddenly from going from just being you,
Yeah.
to having the mum hat and work hat.
Yeah. I really liked the space to actually just do one thing at a time. That felt really nice.
Yeah,
And in lots of ways, going to work was a rest for that reason because you could
yeah.
just do one thing,
Hmm.
especially with two children who were both very young.
Hmm.
And I know you'll have had similar, but
Yeah,
when you've got two children who need to nap and they're both in nappies and bottles actually as well when they,
yeah,
when the
yeah.
first,
I remember that. Yeah,
it's just a lot to do and you're very reactive all the time.
yeah.
And actually, a large part of project management is planning. So it was really lovely to have that
Have a
shift.
and back into control.
Exactly. But one thing you said earlier about having contracts with my husband, and actually it was very similar. So when I went back to work those 2 days a week, we agreed that if either child was ill, that
Mhm.
he would be the one to have the time off. So he was down as the default parent because
Okay.
when you work 2 days a week, if you lose one of them, you lose 50% of your working week.
Yeah.
So it was really important to me that burden didn't fall on me by default. So,
Yes.
and also
Okay.
his work was right next to nursery. So
Okay. Oh, well, that's always a
it made
bonus.
sense
That
for
made
him to be
sense.
the default.
So I'm sure like people will be really interested because I definitely am on, you know, how, yeah, I suppose how was that? Because it's just it's not controversial. It's just it's very different. You just you don't hear about that happening as often, do you? And it
Yeah.
is often that assumption that women are going to take that role. And often it's not even necessarily that the assumption is still sitting there. It's more that actually practically what works.
Yeah.
And it sounds like for you that was what practically made sense.
Yeah.
But I do wonder how often people do sit down and have that conversation
Yeah.
about actually what is going to practically work for us.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, I think something I struggle with a lot of my friends or just other people I observe is that adopting the default and not challenging it. I've
Yeah.
always been quite good at challenging things. And actually, when I had sons, I realised I really am a feminist.
Yeah.
I would have said I wasn't prior to having my boys,
Yeah.
but I 100% am now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that assumption that it would just be the woman. And similar with our money, we've always combined our money so that it's not what I see in a lot of my friendship groups is the woman's money pays for the childcare, and therefore their going back to work becomes easier to justify or not justify based on childcare costs.
Yeah.
Um,
And that in itself is setting that up to make the woman feel like, but I can't go back.
yes,
Or because actually
it's my
there
cost.
it's my
Yeah.
cost, and it, or it kind of then becomes that association,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah. And I never wanted that. I never wanted that. I mean, I wanted to work anyway, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't have done that. But
Yeah.
we were always very conscious to set our money up not to be defined in that way. So it couldn't just be, well, I won't work because it doesn't make sense for me not to work. And also at that stage, we earned very similar amounts. So it would be worth mentioning that privilege because I know not everybody has that even playing field in their relationship.
Yeah. So I'd like us to just take a little step into what you do as a day job, because I think what I loved when we were talking earlier is that you talk a lot about when you go into the spaces that you're working with people. It's very much about actually what is working for you and what isn't working for you for that day to day.
Yeah.
I guess what I'd like to hear from you is based from kind of what you've experienced. What your advice would be to mums in managing kind of their home space to make it more supportive.
So the first thing would be don't just make it your responsibility because presumably you live in your home with other adults who also have equal responsibility for making your home function day to day.
Yeah.
The reality, I guess, for the majority of us is that as women, we are spending an awful lot of time at home, and perhaps still have an unequal burden of the day-to-day running of our homes. So when children come into our homes, the requirements and how hard it has to work really changes.
Doesn't it just?
Yeah. And perhaps prior to having children, the only thought we've had of our home is it looks beautiful.
Yes.
And then when children come into our homes, we suddenly have to look at them with a very different lens. We need to make them safe.
Yep.
But also all this extra stuff.
Oh, stair gates
appears.
is a joy, isn't it? My gosh, my husband cannot wait for stair gates to go. They're not going yet because 3 boys at the top of the stairs is still a very scary thing.
Yeah.
Especially when they're pushing and shoving each other. So yeah. I definitely get that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the biggest challenge we have really when children come into our home is storage, because the stuff is not stuff we've been used to storing before. It's often big, bulky, ugly, actually.
Plastic.
A lot of plastic.
Plastic city.
Yeah. So actually, and also it evolves and changes very quickly.
It does.
Especially in those first sort of, I don't know, from newborn to 6. The stuff you have changes very fast.
100%.
So I think that's the key really, is to keep on top of the stuff that's coming in. And when our children outgrow stuff, is to move it on.
Yeah.
Don't hold on to it, because everything we have in our home has energy. So the more stuff we have in our house, the more energy there is in our house. So we need to keep that moving. We don't want things to stagnate. So if it's not being used, it's time to move it out. And a good tip, especially with younger children, is to rotate their toys.
Yeah.
Because they stop seeing them. So
Yeah.
actually rotate them, and just try and keep on top of what is coming in.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's very good advice.
And I think what's also really important is to make children responsible for looking after their things, from an early age.
I'm sorry, I'm chuckling. It's just
Yeah,
trying to think about my boys looking after their toys when everything breaks is like.
yeah, yeah. And that's going to happen because not everything is made well. Stuff does break.
Yeah.
But I think giving kids responsibility. So one of the things we always did when our children were quite young is they had special toys they didn't want to share. And I
Okay.
think that's fine. Kids are made to share everything.
True.
I wouldn't expect to go into your room and just borrow your clothes.
True.
And like that would probably horrify you if I was like, can I just use this? But we expect our kids to do that. So I think it's fine for them to have special things they don't want to share, but also make them responsible for looking after their stuff.
Yeah. And
It's
also
so important.
even just down to the tidying up
Yeah.
bit, isn't it, as
Yeah.
well? I always made my children kind of tidy up the toy that they've been playing with before they play with the next one,
Yeah.
or even just tidying up at the end of the day and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And as much as it feels like you're really having to maybe drag them into doing that,
Yeah.
actually the more fun we've made it and all that
Yeah.
kind of, put a tidy up song on, whatever it was, I had to
Yeah.
try and get them to do it. But actually that stopped that space feeling so chaotic.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a me tidying up all the toys at the end of the day thing. And I think that again lightens that load and lightens your mind, even just in a small way.
It does. And it's teaching our kids to take pride in their items.
Yep.
And again, like the more you have, the more they have, the more there is to tidy up. So actually really keeping a lid on what they have got and moving things on, I think makes everyone's life easier. There's less to look after, there's less to store, there's less, so again, there's less energy going into it.
Yeah.
Which is, I appreciate, isn't always easy because kids do like stuff.
If we were going to leave people with a little bit of advice then for making their space feel more supportive, as a mum or as a parent, what do you think? I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here.
Yeah.
What do you think that would be?
So one of my favourite things to do is to set up what I call a joy corner.
Ooh.
So what you're doing, wherever you normally sit in the evening, put your favourite things. So make sure there's a table with a space for your book, for your magazine. If you're into, mine has crystals on it and my sage cleansing spray. At Christmas, I like there to be my favourite snack there as well.
Okay.
You can have your favourite cushions, a blanket, so that there's an easy place for you to go to relax. And if your stuff's already there, you're more likely to go to it. And that's why I put my book there, because then I'm more likely to pick up my book rather than sit on my phone, which of course I do as well. But I think a supportive home looks after everybody in it, and it's really important to make space for you in that home as well, so that you've got a joyful corner, somewhere that's easy to go to.
I love this. Yeah, I love this. I am going to make a joyful corner for me now already. I love this idea. If people have really resonated with this conversation, and not only your transition to motherhood, how you found things, how you've managed things, but also the really interesting stuff that you just shared around space and support, I would love to tell people how they can explore working with you. So can you tell us a little bit about how people could,
Sure. Well, I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Becky Harrison Design.
Okay.
Also have my own website. You can often find me networking around Bristol and North Somerset area.
Okay.
But I love chatting all things interiors and all things motherhood. So if people do want to reach out, I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Sounds perfect. Well, thank you so much, because I could sit and have a lovely chat and a coffee with you about motherhood. I mean, it was even the thing that we bonded over, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
We met at a networking event, we started chatting motherhood, boy mums, all of these things, and started ranting about life as well, and we just connected straight away. So it's been really lovely to have you to talk things through, and also given me some amazing ideas, let alone anyone else. So if nothing else, or at least I'm taking something. So that's been really good. So thank you so much for coming and having a chat with me.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.